with that being said, I thought that I would speak a little bit on productivity today, and just kind of what's going on inside of our marketplace, how to serve and support, which is what I always aim to do, and just to give you guys a little bit of value. Is that okay with you? Cool. Slide, please. So, would love to know from anybody, why did you come here today? I ask a question. Somebody.
To learn from Ryan.
To learn from Ryan. Too kind. What else? What about AI? What about tech? What about networking? Other answers. Learning what you don't know, because that's important. There's a lot of know-it-all type of mentality in the marketplace right now. I came here today to serve and support, and I also came to share a message of productivity and a little bit that may help you through this marketplace. With that being said, if you want to click that slide, I believe we're being misled. Okay. And when I say that, I believe that in essence, society often misleads us in terms of what it is that we can actually achieve in anything that we desire. I believe that we're being misled with a message of busy being, more important than actual productivity. And I think that when we really look at the big picture right now, it's important to understand that there's some defined things that we can learn and grow with that are going to allow us to evolve further. Okay. So I've got a few exercises for you today, and we're going to jump into one. But here's the deal. The market right now, and I've been doing this for close to 20 years, is what I would say tougher than ever. How many people have been in this business for longer than 10 years? Awesome. Would you say that this market is tougher than you've seen in the past, or have you been into markets that were even tougher than right now? It's pretty tricky. Sure. For most. But that's really the mystery, right? Because I look around this room and I see a lot of people that I know that are having tremendous success. And it's like that in any market. Why is it that some people have success in a tough market while others really struggle? And that's the mystery that I hope to support in uncovering and unraveling just a little bit today. Okay. So, next up, write this number down. Okay. And you don't need to take a copious amount of notes. I'm sure most of you can probably find me if you need to. But write this number down, 168. And I know our screen's not crystal clear, and that's cool, but 168. What does that number represent? Hours in a week. Okay, there are 168 hours available to each and every one of us. That is not different for any other human being on the planet. Okay, I want you to first write down the number of hours on average that you sleep in a week. How many hours on average do you sleep in a week? And you're going to write that down, and there's no wrong answers. I came back from Pittsburgh with my boys yesterday, so I did not get a lot of sleep when I was hauling ass to get back for a hockey tryout. Then I want you to write down the number of hours on average that you dedicate to your real estate career each week. For some of you, it might be 20 hours. For some of you, it might be 40 hours. If you're a workaholic like me, maybe it's 60 hours. If you're like Gotham, maybe it's 80 hours with all the dancing and all the other stuff that he does. I follow, man. Again, no wrong answers. Then I want you to write down the number of hours on average that you dedicate to your personal well-being each week. And let's say that it's 10 as a good round number to focus on. Anything that's self-serving. Okay, so that doesn't necessarily need to be fitness, but it could be. Maybe it's meditation. Maybe it's reading a non-business related book. Maybe it's journaling. Maybe it's going for a walk. Whatever it is for you that allows you to bring the very best version of you into each and every experience. Because I am certain that we cannot serve our friends, our family, or our real estate clients unless we're serving ourselves at the highest of levels first. And that's not perfect. But would everyone agree with that? Okay. So you've got 168. You're going to subtract your sleep hours. You're going to subtract your work hours. You're going to subtract your personal development hours. How many hours do we have left?
Many hours for scrolling social media.
The doom scrolling continues, yes. How many hours do we have left? Anyone? 49. Who else? 86. Okay. It's usually anywhere between 40 to 80 hours. Again, there's no wrong answers. But what this explains and what it shares is that that's the time we want to dedicate first. That's the time that we dedicate to doing the things that we want to do with the people that we want to do it with. That's what we call purpose. Okay. And so when we start looking at purpose, purpose can be anything for anyone. The law of purpose says that everybody has a purpose. Every single human being has a purpose. I guarantee real estate is not our life's purpose. Okay. Nobody is going to wake up on death's doorstep and say, gosh, my life would have been so much more complete if I just would have sold one more house. If you do, you're sick. Okay. Coming to understand your purpose allows you to anchor into your productivity, which we'll get to in a second. So when we look at this and we look at purpose and we dedicate that time first, what that allows us to avoid is what we call career resentment. Because in a market like this one, or in this industry, this business can chew us up and spit us out if we're not careful. For those of you that have been around, I'm sure that you can agree. Okay, we've got to start tapping into that new agent energy too, right? That energy that we had when we first got in the business, when we were grateful to be in the business, when we loved what we were doing and we were excited about the business. And that's really a roadmap for time, because time management to me is bullshit. And you hear a lot of theorists and gurus talk about time management, when really it comes down to choice management. Okay, it's the choices that we can all make in the 168 hours that we each have available to us. Because I guarantee, after doing this for a very long time and working with some really highly productive people, if you dedicate 2 hours, 5 days a week, inside of those work hours to non-negotiable business cultivation. Some people call that lead generation, but let's just talk about business cultivation, whatever that is for you. You write your ticket in this industry. Guaranteed. And it's irrefutable. Slide. But we've gotten into this thing where it is more important to look busy than to actually be productive. Okay, looking busy does not equal productivity. And at the same time, being busy does not mean that we're going to be productive. And you don't always have to be productive if you're just going to stay busy. Does that make sense? Okay, you've got to be discerning on the way that we spend our time right now. Because in a changing market or in a shifting market, it's very, very important. And so as you change the slide, the real problem right now is not the market, it's the myth of busyness. When did we start getting into that thing where we are just looking to be busy all the time? What does that really do for our business? There are drastic differences when you start to study this stuff. Okay, but if you look around on social media, and you can see it all day long, how many agents are just doing the exact same thing as the next agent, just looking to be busy online from an optics perspective? To me, that's not productive. So who's going to win in this market? Write this down. The person that will win in this market or any market, number one, is going to be a marketer. Okay, hence the word market. We need to market to our marketplace. But we need to differentiate ourselves from the competition when we're doing that. The second person, or the second part of winning in this market, is building deeper connections with our audience. Deeper connections with our audience. Enough of the surface level bullshit. Okay, and some of you may not like some of my perspectives, and that's okay. I am not here to make friends. I'm here to have an impact, because if I have an impact on one person, maybe somebody gets a result. Right? When you come to these things, it's about having an intention, right? The law of intention says that in order for something to happen, we have to direct our energy somewhere. And so whatever you're looking to get out of today, that's the intention. But nothing happens unless something moves. That's called the law of action. Our intentions have to align with our actions. That's how productivity actually happens. Okay, the person that's going to win in this market is the one that brings the most value to the marketplace. So when you start to look at your marketing and you start to look at your deeper connections, the easiest way to build those is to say, how can I bring more value to this experience? How can I deliver value to somebody to leave them with a feeling of increase? The fourth, who is all in? Okay, who is all in this marketplace? I look around this room and I see some people that I know are all in. But the truth is, this market is going to expose and is exposing those that are not. And as a broker owner, I 100% see it all day long. Because here's what has happened. Okay. For many years, people that were, for example, having a pretty good business, maybe they were doing 80,000 or 100,000 in GCI each year. All of a sudden, pricing goes through the roof, right? It basically triples. And when it triples, now we have rock star real estate agents, because there's a direct correlation between pricing and commission naturally. So all of a sudden you have people's commission that tripled and they're the hero. Okay, cool. However, fast forward, pricing correction of 25 to 30%. That's what we've seen, how it's lowered. Not a huge deal when you're making 300 grand, right? But when we stop being just order takers with our sellers and the market actually shifts and only 50% or less homes are actually selling, that's where we can face some real challenge. And when we're having success, that's where we are most susceptible and at risk of something serious happening. And so that big swing in income forward can go backwards even worse. And we need to be really, really cautious of that right now. Because if we're not all in, going to get smoked by this market, guys. There's just no doubt about it. And I'm seeing it in market to market. And that's the difference between talk and walk. Okay, we can talk about how busy we want to be. We can talk about our goals, but unless we're actually taking relevant and appropriate action, words are hollow. And this is a big ego type of business where we can talk a big game, but it doesn't matter when things aren't happening. And I'm not trying to be like Debbie Downer here. I'm just trying to come with some truth because I see it with our people. I see it with friends, with other companies and other markets. It's just the nature of the beast right now. And we've got to pivot from that. So, good news and bad news. How many people in here have an income goal for 2025 or started off the year with an income goal for 2025? Awesome. You'd be amazed at how many people do not have an intention when they start out the year. And that's where we get a lot of fly by the seat of our pants real estate agents. Okay, in terms of that goal, how many people are on track to hit their goal this year? Why'd you guys all come here then? Good for you. And I think that that's a testament to actually coming out and doing some of this stuff, right? Learning, growing, evolving, because the industry constantly changes. We have to be evolving and changing as well. Bad news, if you're not on track to hit your goal Unless you get some really quick closings right now, there's a good chance you may not reach it. Good news is you can shift at any time. You can make a choice to change. You can start doing something different immediately. See, change doesn't happen over time, circumstances do. Change happens in the instant that you make a decision to do something different and then you start moving in that direction. What you want to do is start doing it now because the things that you do right now are typically going to show up in terms of results 90 days from now. What can you do when you leave this joint today and immediately take action that's going to improve your business or your life? Other good news is your competition is extremely weak. And I say that with love. What do you think that the number one answer is when I see people in the business, whether it's with a person that comes in to interview with the company or a client or just in conversation, when I say, what's your goal income? What would be a good year for you? What do you think the number one answer is? 100? Anyone else?
6 figures.
6 figures. It's the same all the time. Okay. 100 grand is usually the answer, 6 figures. Here's the deal, 6 figures in this market is a lot different than 15 years ago. But the difference is the answer has not changed. And in this market, 6 figures is, I'm going to say, about 10 deals. Okay, 10 sales. And if you're not hitting 10 sales, okay. But how long does it take to do one sale, even if it's the worst of the worst? How many hours? 20 years. I just had one of those. Is it 20 hours? Is it 40 hours? Let's say it's 80 hours. I mean, start to finish, right? Buyer consultation or referral. You meet somebody, you put them on a search, you show them homes, they lose out. Maybe it's 80 hours for one sale. And I'm guessing most of them are not. The people that are coming in and telling me that they want to make 100 grand and do 10 deals, what you're really telling us is that you want to work part-time. Anybody disagree? How can you be all in if you're declaring already that you want to work part-time? And if you want to work part-time and you have a challenge hitting your goals to begin with, do you see where the challenge in the market is? Or the industry overall? That's the nature of real estate. So my question to you is, are you all in? How many people in here are all in? Next slide. How would I know? Because you showed up. Sweet. How would somebody know that somebody's all in on a day-to-day basis, though? Could you open up your calendars or your CRMs and show a certain level of activity that is equating to the result that you declared at the start of the year? And if you can, super. That's a great path to be on, but most people can't. So when people say I'm all in, that would be the question that I would ask. How would somebody know? Because there's answers in that. See, when people come and they train with me, or they get some form of learning from me, often what happens is this: 3 things. One, they say, I want to make 100 grand, or I want to make 200 grand, or I want to make 500 grand, whatever it is, right? And we lay out a roadmap to achieve that exact goal that is proven and documented as far as a process goes. And if agent does X amount of activity, they should get Y in terms of a result. First thing that happens is somebody does that thing, they get a result, and they keep moving. Awesome. Second is they do that thing, but they don't get a result. But that's okay because they were doing the activity, and that means you can coach somebody or train somebody up on how to do that thing even better, and maybe just identify what gap they're having with their skills. But the third, which is the most dominant, is they suck up the thing that you said that they could do, like sugar, as far as the idea. But when they don't do the work, they spit it out like it's salt. And that's part of real estate too. So just like you said, you showed up. Kudos to anybody that shows up. That's half the battle for sure, each and every day. But most people aren't. And so take that as an advantage right now. You're showing up, you're committing to action, and if you keep doing that thing, you're going to have results and you're going to smoke most of your competitors. And you can tell that I'm probably pretty competitive. There's no doubt. Okay. And I understand as well that it is okay to lose. I've lost many, many times. But in this market, the question that I pose to you is, are you losing for the right reasons or for the wrong reasons? Okay, I don't want to see people lose for the wrong reasons in anything because we have the opportunity right in front of us to do what we want to do. And there's a proof test: receipts, which means results, reps, which means the activity, and restraint. What distraction can we avoid? So I've got a few receipts. I got licensed in '08. I was involved in over 200 transactions in my first 2.5 years. Full disclaimer, I had a buyer agent. They were not residential, or they were not a build, it's just residential resale. I grew the number one team in my office, scaled a 7-figure real estate company in 3 years, recruited over 100 agents in just over 3 years. Hit the Business London top 20 under 40, trained, spoke all over the planet. Next slide. Who gives a shit? Blah, blah, blah. The best thing that ever was told to me was while I was going through that success. And my ego, like many of us in real estate, just had exploded. And it's, you're not that impressive. And I was paying a coach thousands of dollars to tell me on the phone that I wasn't that impressive. And I looked at the phone and I just wanted to punch him in the face. But that's the thing. I was saying, I've got all this good stuff going on. I keep achieving this and that and the other, and we can just keep going. But I was miserable. And my life was an absolute disaster. And it didn't matter what I achieved next, it was the same thing over and over. Because success does not equal fulfillment. Some of y'all might want to write this down. Success is actually a toxic replacement for fulfillment. Results prove skill, but purpose sustains success. And it took me a very long time to figure out that purpose. And it's a constant, constant journey. So I've been fortunate to meet and speak and connect and engage with some pretty high level folks. It's kind of hard to see, but Les Brown is one of the top motivational speakers in the world of all time, certainly of our time. On the bottom left, Gary Zukov and Linda Francis. If you've never read The Heart of the Soul, Gary was interviewed on Oprah more than anyone in history. I spent a week with them in Portland. On the top right, my man, any football fans in here? So Brian Dawkins is 9-time Super Bowl, or 9-time Pro Bowl, and NFL Hall of Fame. Brian called me a couple weeks ago when my high school team lost, and just kind of gave me some words of wisdom as well. And on the bottom right is Faisal Susiwala, who's just about an hour up the road. 2 years ago was a number one individual agent with Remax in the world at about 6 million commission. No joke. All of these people have performed at the ultimate of levels. But what I've noticed with every single one of them that I've come encountered with, and these are just a few examples, they all come from a place of humility. Okay, they all come from a place of curiosity, being curious about others, not just their selves. And they come from a very, very humble place of purpose. And most of them, like us, when they start to understand a little bit more with purpose, will share that that's how they really anchored into achieving these huge, huge results as far as high performance goes. And it was no different for me. When I started to understand purpose, even within the company, I had to start learning that, in terms of leadership, and I know many of you in here are leaders, and we're all leaders inside of a marketplace with our clients, with our families, is that the company was a lot bigger than Ryan Hodge, if that makes sense. And that the things that were usually failing were a direct result of my actions and not somebody else's. And that not everybody wanted to sell 100 homes a year. Many wanted to live a amazing life inside of real estate. I just challenged them not to work part-time in order to do so. My spouse, Sandra, who, by the way, this was not our jet, a coaching client flew us out to San Antonio once. Sandra says the key to it is to wake up each and every day and just help somebody, as a motto. How can you wake up each and every day and just help somebody do a little bit better, be a little bit better? And my purpose is my boys. So we are diehard Steelers fans. And if my voice is a little raspy, it's because I was screaming in Pittsburgh this weekend when they beat the Colts. We go every year. Usually costs me more than a university tuition, but it just is the way that it is. But with that being said, we believe in God, family, and the Pittsburgh Steelers in our household. And I coach kids every year. So every year, Monday to Friday through the fall, I coach high school football at Lucas. And it is a massive freaking commitment. You're about 3 to 4 hours a day easy. And that requires a lot of dedication and commitment, doing all the other busy things that we're supposed to do. But what I share is that if you start stacking things in terms of your purpose, all the productivity in real estate is naturally going to happen rather than doing it vice versa. Whatever it is for you, whether it's community, charity, church, like it doesn't matter. It's whatever you want to do and however you want to do it. I do it because I love having an impact on young kids. There's a lot of kids that have been through the hockey ringer by the time they hit high school. A lot of kids that have shit going on at home, but it's just a feel good, and it gets us out of the busyness of real estate. I don't think that you can do anything until you serve yourself. So last year, I got my black belt in karate, which is not a tough guy martial art, in case anybody knows. But what it does require is a lot of consistency and commitment. And I started doing it with my oldest son, who was uh, an experience as a teenager, we'll say, much like his old man. And when we started in grade 9, the deal was if you start, we go to black belt, because I had quit a couple things as far as martial arts when I was younger, even into my late 20s, early 30s. And so that was the deal. And all three of my boys joined. And because karate's not the next UFC thing, they all quit. But I wasn't going to quit. And so when I did that last year, it was a good accomplishment to not only understand that you never really arrive somewhere, because with martial arts, it's just a constant journey, just like real estate. It's constantly evolving. And we constantly need to just keep doing the next great thing if we want to stay in it. But it requires consistency and work. Same with sobriety. Thursday, 3 years sober for me. Thank you. And it's not my first trip to the rodeo, but I think that this may be my last. But that is constant work as well. Okay. And so I take great gratitude for that. And I think that in terms of work, it's the same deal. So when you look at this, you guys, like I do, see highlight reels or end results, whether it's real estate productivity or somebody that accomplishes something or somebody that gets sober or whatever. What we don't see is the reps that go into doing that, right? Like that's really the problem with social media these days. We see these end results. Okay. I give an example of Greg Rains here from my company, his own company. but we're buddies. You see highly successful team leader, broker owner. I see the guy that worked in the golf shop, networking, giving to his community that's not on social media all day long. You see pretty girl Georgia at the back, marketing, doing epic things with her brokerage. I see the girl that came into Remax with her dad. Fuck a crayon. Was reading about emotional intelligence, putting her reps in and learning the craft. We don't always see anything other than the highlight reels, right? And work works. Like all of it takes work. There's no way around it if you really want to do something. But somehow we've abandoned that thing that makes real estate so great, which is when we really deliver results, it's on the back of hard ass work. The intensity of the pain depends on the degree of resistance in the present moment. The law of resistance. So the law of resistance says that any time that we are resisting something that we know we should be doing, it's an absolute necessity in our mind that if we do this thing, we're going to get a positive result. But if we're resisting it, negative energy situates itself in our experience. You guys know exactly what it takes to create a result in real estate. Like, there is no secret sauce to this. So, what happens when we are resisting doing that thing? Whether you're into open houses, online leads, prospecting, working your sphere of influence, when we stop working, we're resisting doing that thing. What do you think the negative energy is that situates itself in our experience? Lack of income. That's the negative shit we don't want, right? And what we resist persists. Think about it. Think about what it is that you might be resisting right now, that if you just did that thing and you just did it consistently in business or life, you'd have a much different outcome. Because I can tell you, getting sober, that's a lot of hard work. Okay, getting a black belt, that's a lot of hard work. Doing well in real estate, that's a lot of hard work. But fuck, was it hard work being me 10 years ago? Like, I mean, chaos. And I wouldn't wish that kind of work on anyone. And I don't wish the kind of lack of income or lack of productivity or lack of results that you truly, truly have the potential to earn on anybody if that's what you want. But it takes hard work. So I'm going to give you my core process for productivity. Okay? Next slide, please. Everybody's heard the word karma? Yes? What does karma mean? Karma is actually based in what's called the law of cause and effect, which says that everything has a consequence in terms of an action. Action equals a consequence, whether it's positive or negative. In other words, every single thing that we do is a choice. Every choice leads to an outcome. Every outcome has a result, positive or negative. We can choose then to learn, grow, and evolve and do something differently if it's not the result that we're getting. Okay? Karma is also known as the golden rule. What goes around comes around, right? We've all heard that. In terms of karma, it's a very circular energy. Okay, a circular energy, much like the real estate cycle. So this is the typical trajectory of a realtor. Somebody comes to something like this, or a training, or a webinar, or a seminar, or something like that, and they do something, right? They take some form of action because they got an idea, and boom, they get a result. And it's usually in the result of a client or a commission. That's awesome. Maybe they do it a little bit more, maybe they get more results. But somewhere along the way, they get so caught up in the transactional side of the business that they stop doing the thing that got them busy in the first place, and they're back to square one. And it's just this vicious cycle. And that's why there's these massive peaks and valleys that we can have in this industry. Linear, next slide, is what's called the law of purpose. So the word dharma, which is not thrown around in the mainstream media like karma, is the law of purpose, which again says that anything and everything on this planet has a purpose. But in order to serve that purpose, we've got to do the next right thing right. Linear works in a way that you have to go in steps and it's ordered. My belief is that it starts with our foundation, okay, both personal and professional. That goal, your skills, maybe it's your confidence, which is a thing. Maybe it's self-worth. Maybe it's all the shit that happens to us when we're kids, whatever it is. But understanding that a healthy foundation to business is absolutely critical. The second is predictable business cultivation, which I talked about. Predictable means market tested, market proven. For example, 1 in 3 open houses should result in a buyer client and commission if you're doing lower price point, good curb appeal, new to the market listings. Not going and serving Gotham's overpriced listings with the sellers that are all pissed off. Predictable means building your sphere of influence to a list of 100 and actually nurturing them the right way. Because if people move every 5 to 7 years, even conservatively, in that list, you've got 14.3 transactions in that list. If you've built it, if you're marketing to them, if you're building deeper connections, if you're delivering value, not just please buy or sell with me. Right? Like the just listed, just sold sales breath shit has to stop. And it's not that I don't do it too, but we've got to weave value in there. We've got to deliver value to people. Okay. The third is back-end systems and processes, CRMs, AI, tech stacks. Like I'm huge on all of it. I've probably got one of the most robust lead gen platforms in Ontario. But if I don't have number one right, it doesn't matter. Number fourth, assess, scale, leverage. Okay, if you want to grow eventually, you've got to do it with people or other types of technology. And leverage allows us to keep the 3 vital signs of real estate alive and well: setting appointments, conducting appointments, negotiating contracts. But most agents want to jump to 3 or 4. Most agents want to be the rock star of real estate. I had an agent come into the office about 6 months ago. And again, I'm not here to pitch you on anything or sell you anything today. I'm just sharing. And the agent said, I want to make $250,000 in real estate. Year one. Okay. You came to the right person to do that. And I'm going to give you the exact activity to do that that's proven and that so and so and so and so and so and so are doing in their first year in this market. And I could point to the Gothams or some of the others in the room right now. Sorry, dude, you're my example today. That have had tremendous success very quickly in the business, like tremendous success, like 1% type of shit. You give them the roadmap and they spit it out like it's salt when they don't do the work. But the message that he put out to his marketplace was, I'm going to show you how I made $250,000 in my first year in real estate. What a humble way to attract new clients in your audience. That's not the stuff that's going to get it done right now. There's nothing wrong with showing credibility. There's nothing wrong with showing receipts, but humility is key. Our audience does not want to see us making more money. We already know what they think about us. They think that we're part-time. and making big bucks for being part-time. And a lot of people are telling us that's accurate, right? 1, 2, 3, and 4, but it's ordered steps. I'm going to give you a little dialogue that may support you in this, that if you walk out of here and you use this dialogue, I will guarantee you will get results. And it's how I built my list. It's one of the main ways that I generated my business. It can be used in any market, just about any industry. When I started in the business, I used Facebook, 26 letters in the alphabet, 30 days in the month. If you're on Instagram, whatever media platform, it doesn't matter. Sending simple messages that didn't sell consistently. The first was, hey there, it's been a little while since we've connected. I just got into a new business with a new company and I'd like to send you some information. Please send me your email address, phone number, and mailing address. So you may not have just gotten into real estate. Hey there, a lot of people have questions about the market because it has been all over the map. I want to make sure that my people are updated. Please send me your email address, phone number, and mailing address. Who feels the resistance building about the awkwardness of sending that to somebody they know? It's a fucking contact sport, guys. This is a contact sport. We cannot play secret agent in this market. Okay, you want a result, you've got to take action. You want massive results, massive amounts of action. You send that message to 25 people over the next 90 days, 5 days a week, I guarantee you will do 10 more sales out of that. I used to do 30 each and every year. And if anybody knows me inside of my organization or that has come in for an appointment with me, they probably got a message through social media first. That's probably how we connected. And if you are really having a hard time with that and you're not ready to maybe get on video or, get yourself out there, you've got to work on the confidence piece. Confidence has a direct correlation with your capacity. So if you are lacking confidence to make contact with your list or your people or the people that you want to attract, time to do a little bit of work on that foundational space. We've got time to do it. That's the good news. You can do this anytime. So could you commit to doing 10 sales more per year? Everybody, please, yes. Okay. I'm going to give you 7 steps of commitment right now, okay, that you can use for anything that you desire to do. Number 1, what was my commitment? Okay, so if that's your thing, you're going to walk out of here and you're going to start doing this. My commitment is 25 messages, 5 days a week. Or my commitment is to go focus on some form of personal growth, like whatever it is, or you see Carrie today or whoever else, I'm going to do that thing and I'm going to commit to it. Number 2, did I keep my commitment? Did I keep my commitment? And how's my time? Am I okay? Okay. Number 3, in the realm of all that is possible, could I have kept my commitment? In the realm of all that is possible, could I have kept my commitment? Number 4, what got in the way? What got in the way of me keeping the commitment that I declared to myself or somebody else? Number 5, what did I learn about myself from this experience? What did I learn about myself from this experience? Again, we have to be always learning, growing, evolving. It's how we stay relevant in anything. Number 6, do I want to recommit? Do I want to recommit? Nothing wrong with recommitting to a goal, whatever it is. It's about staying in that high place of awareness. For example, I have a commitment. I have a torn shoulder, fully torn shoulder right now, but I have a commitment to improve my fitness, which was a major commitment for me this year, which hasn't quite happened. And I was just at a football weekend. So, of course, my fitness was just dialed in. And I woke up this morning with the great intention of working out, hydrating. I've got my electrolytes in the car. And I got into the kitchen and I saw my kids' Halloween candy. And so the 3 or 4 mini chocolate bars were my breakfast this morning. So I need to recommit to that tomorrow. Number 7, acknowledgement for the commitments that you made and keep. It's important to self-appreciate. Okay, it is crucial to self-appreciate. And what we celebrate tends to expand. What was my commitment? Did I keep my commitment in the realm of all that is possible? Could I have kept my commitment? What got in the way? And remember that what got in the way is not what's going on at home. It's not what's going on in the market. It's not what's going on with your batshit crazy client. It's 100% personal responsibility. What did I learn? Do I want to recommit? Acknowledge and appreciate. Okay, 7 steps. Next step. Going to give you a little bit of mindset stuff. Number 1, smoke and mirrors. Okay. There are a lot of profiteers and people that have never done this thing in real estate. Stop paying attention to them. Okay. You don't have to compare yourself to anybody. It's about figuring out what you want this to be for yourself and doing that thing. Okay. This industry is riddled with people that are just trying to pitch you, sell you, that have never sold a house. Number 2, response versus reaction. Response is rooted in personal responsibility. So ask yourself about this. If you're not quite where you want to be in terms of this market, are you responding to the market or are you reacting to it? Responding to it or reacting to it. Number 3, the primary law. Okay, so you've heard me talk a little bit about universal laws, and I'm not talking too much about kumbaya today, I hope. A lot of people talk about the law of attraction, right? What we see, we can become, or what we want to create if we focus on something. And the law of attraction is the most mainstream universal law that there is. But it's also the secondary law, which most people don't understand. The primary law is actually called the law of vibration. And the law of vibration says that anything and everything on this planet operates as energy. And that energy operates like a magnet, whether it's positive or negative. Do you ever notice maybe people in your office, I know I've got some in mine, that always seem to have a deal going sideways? Or they always seem to come into the office and they're talking about some crazy ass lunatic client that they always seem to get. And you start to look at them and say, maybe you're a little bit batshit crazy too. We know. We've got to wake up each and every day and figure out, how am I operating? How is my energy level operating, and act like we want to attract. We don't get what we want. We get what we are. That I'm sure of. Okay, we don't get what we want. We get what we are. And are you in alignment? Okay, we talked about the law of intention. We talked about the law of action. Whatever your goal is your activity and action lined up to that goal? Law of detachment. Stop focusing on those great big outcomes. It's important to have it, but set it and forget about it. Attach to the process, detach from the outcome. In other words, focus on the activity, not the results. This society has become so result oriented. If you just do that little bit of work, results will come. And go to the depths with your audience. Okay? Get below the surface. It took me a long time to realize that. I've spoken like all over North America, Europe, all over. And I used to speak specifically on productivity and just how to generate more income. What happened with that was that when I first started figuring out my purposes and that there was a little bit more to this, I had a moment where I decided that I was going to start talking a little bit more about the personal stuff. The stuff that happens in this industry, like addiction or low self-worth or challenges or, all this stuff. And that doesn't necessarily happen to everyone, but it certainly happened with me. And I had this huge audience. I used to do this event called the Mindset Map in the GTA, and I had a room full of 300 people. And I remember I was going to have my little talk and talk about the shit that I never really wanted to talk about, or I was pretty scared, and I was terrified. Like, I mean, sweating in a room, green room, terrified. And as I just moved beyond that to that audience that day, my avatar of a client changed forever because it became so much more important about who I worked with, who I spent time with, and who I delivered a message to, that the right people started to show up. And so sometimes I think that we might be recruiting, I'm going to use that word even for sales, into the wrong audience. We all want more, right? We want more sales. Who doesn't? But if we're just recruiting the people that are going to devalue us, not give us the time of day, not understand that we have qualifications, that we have skill sets, that we treat this business like a business, if we keep doing that, we're going to keep attracting the same people. Start taking your audience a little bit deeper and attracting the right ones, the own culture of what you want your business to look like. And pure potential. Okay, this business can be anything for anyone. Like, I mean, anyone. And right now, I know that a lot of agents, a lot of people, a lot of human beings are really, really struggling financially. Been there. But the great thing about real estate, you sell a shitload of it, it can solve a shitload of problems. So don't forget that if you're in one of those spaces. There is a very, very easy fix, and it's to go out and get to work and sell more real estate. And so, this is a QR code for a quick 100 days, 100K. If you can't scan it today, just hit me up. I post these on my social all the time. I wasn't sure who was going to be here or who wasn't. But it's an easy guide with some of the tactics, strategies, things like that. And again, if you don't get it today, just hit me up with a message. And I will close with the last slide. Motivation lies within. You do not come to these things to get motivated. Okay, maybe inspired. Okay, Carrie inspires me. She just showed up. She's spoken at the office. She's kicking ass, taking names. Okay, a lot of you inspire me. All of you inspire me for being here. Okay, but you can't get motivation from somebody else. Okay, if you're not motivated to wake up and feed your family or go after your goals or your dreams, that's the issue. Inspiration's different. Motivation lies within. Thank you.